As a lot of you may already be aware, on September 26, 2009, my MoonFaker series was put on hold as I had some pressing matters to attend to in the United States of America. Obviously, during such absence, I was away from my computer and thus unable to make more videos. It seems the propagandists took full advantage of that. During my absence, 3 propagandists have released one or many YouTube videos. Most of their videos attack my LRO analysis. Others attack other issues I addressed. I get the feeling that the propagandists wait until my back is turned and then party! 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 Well, party's over. This will be the first in a series of videos clearing up the rubbish that the propagandists have left behind in my absence. There are 3 detractors in question. 2 newbies, cast in 1948, who has only 1 video to show for, and Phil Webb, who seems to be the most polite of the 3. The third is an old friend, Astrobrand2. His new video series goes beyond just the LRO and has directed towards various other things. With these new videos, he's gone from being your average propagandist to becoming a raging and dishonest old man suffering from some irrational and psychotic hatred against anyone who disagrees with him, or anyone he thinks disagrees with him. As usual, his arguments are built on poor research, denials, and stale arguments that were already debunked long ago. Of the 3 YouTubers, we'll start with this guy. At the rate he's releasing videos, I can't guarantee that I'll cover them all before the release of this response, but here goes. When I arrived in New York, I discovered that Astrobrand had started a new video series directed at me. The series was called White Noise. Oh yes, very amusing. But despite all his tough talk and angry threats, his new video series was no more than his usual standards. He talks big to try and intimidate people, but rarely does the research to back up his claims. His first video regards the Apollo 15 halo. Long story short, moon probes Clementine and SELENE both photographed a region that NASA and others claimed was disturbance caused by Apollo 15's engine plume spreading out across the surface. The LRO photography of the same area proved that this mysterious halo was just the sunlit portion of some nearby impact craters. The engine plume did not create it at all. Here's what Astrobrand had to say along these lines. First of all, it is important to note that the Clementine photographs were recorded in the ultraviolet spectrum. This is why the splotch comes out black. If these images were photographed in the visible light spectrum, the anomaly would have come out much brighter.
Excuse me? Jarrah, I think you'd be hard-pressed to back up that claim.
If these images were photographed in the visible light spectrum, the anomaly would have come out much brighter.
Even though you only showed this image for 4 seconds, it turns out to be the basis of your entire argument. Others might casually have thought that this was another photograph, but it's not. It's the same photograph. Exactly the same photograph. You just made a negative of it, and then tried to pass it off as the way the visible light image should look. The remaining 8.5 minutes of your video is based entirely on this false, and I believe deliberately misleading premise.
Talk about clutching at straws. Nowhere in my video did I ever claim the negative to be another photo. I only used the negative for visual aid to go with my narration. Astrobrand made his entire argument based on this false assumption that I tried to pass this off as an actual photo taken in the visible light spectrum. Only idiots, incompetent researchers, and people with axes to grind would interpret this as being purported to be another photo. It seems Astrobrand has added annotations to this segment. They read,
"Right off the bat, I have been informed of two big errors I have made. First mistake, and I will never do it again, is that I took something Jarrah White said as factual without checking it. I believed him when he said this was taken in ultraviolet light. It wasn't. So my second mistake was in basing all my subsequent remarks on that false information. The picture was taken using red filters, not ultraviolet."
"Oh, so now he's accusing me of providing false information. I did no such thing." According to a document by Kraslavsky and Shakuratov, the scientists who, quote, "eyed evidence of a touchdown," the image was photographed using Clementine's UV-VIS camera.
In this work, we used a series of 52 images of a vicinity of Apollo 15 landing site, taken with Clementine UV-VIS camera in orbit 299.
According to Wikipedia, the UV-VIS camera was used to
study the Moon and 1,620 geographos at 5 different wavelengths in the ultraviolet spectrum.
That's what I based my statement that these were ultraviolet photos on. If anyone is guilty of providing false information, it's my source material. Or if I missed anything, or misinterpreted anything, I can assure you that was unintentional and I apologize for such. Continuing on with Astrobrand's video, so desperate to make me appear wrong about the splotch appearing brighter in the visible light spectrum, he never bothered to analyze his own choice of photos.
Here's a real picture taken from lunar orbit in the visible light spectrum by the Apollo crew. And as one can see, there is very little comparison between that and your fake negative picture.
I too have a copy of that Apollo 15 image that Astrobrand uses. It's available from the Lunar and Planetary Institute's website. It isn't even a high-quality photograph, but let's use it anyway. It seems he missed the obvious arrow. I don't know who added this arrow, NASA, LPI, or whoever, but look at what it is pointing to. It's pointing to a bright spot. And as you can see, that bright spot, together with these impact craters, corresponds exactly to the location of that dark splotch. This is in agreement to what I said in my video, that it would have come out brighter in the visible light spectrum. If it's not enough that he missed what the arrow is pointing to, Astrobrand further demonstrates his total lack of photo analysis skills.
Let's take a look at these two pictures side by side. In the Clementine ultraviolet photo, the dark smudge is there. But in the Apollo 15 photo, you can't see anything at all, light or dark.
We just debunked that moments ago, and Astrobrand's arrow isn't even pointing to the right place. One would think that the arrow that was already there would have helped anyone with the most basic photo analysis skills.
There are also great differences between these features.
What differences? Both images show a hill with 3 large craters in them.
And this particular feature?
No, there isn't. It's a group of impact craters southeast of the landing site. Here it is in the Apollo 15 photo, right where it should be. The only difference is the lower crater appears blurred in the Clementine photo.
And especially in this portion of the photo.
It's called different lighting conditions.
This pair of anomalies doesn't show up at all in the Apollo 15 photo.
Yes, they do. Again, his arrow is in the wrong place.